Hello everyone. So today I wanted to show you how I run my 12,000 BTU mini split on optional batteries. So I can run this on either household AC or a battery pack. Now, I bought these batteries. These are 100 amp hour LifePo 4 batteries. There's 16 of them in a configuration where it's a serial configuration. So 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2 all the way up will give you right around 57 volts, give or take, nominal. And you can buy these batteries actually from Signature Solar. I don't think they sell the batteries anymore, just as the batteries. They used to. And now you can buy the complete unit with the BMS and everything inside a case, and that's actually what I would recommend. But what I did is I bought the batteries separate, then I had to buy a BMS to manage the batteries so that they wouldn't go overcharging, undercharging, things like that. I also have a charge controller here. It's a TriStar MPPT 60 charge controller, so I think it'll do, depending on the configuration, you get 48 volts. I think it'll do up to 3,000 watts of solar panels. So I have 6 panels over here. Each are 250 watts, and they're configured in strings of 2. So these 2 are a string, those 2 are a string, so that's 60 volts, 60 volts, and then 60 volts for these 2. So they all come into the charge controller, which then feeds into the battery. Now, from the battery, how I invert is I use a Ames 1500 watt 48 volt inverter, and I also have an eMilo, which is basically I worked it a way to work the switch remotely, so the on-off switch I can control remotely. The reason I do that is because if I shut this off when I'm on batteries, if I shut the AC off, the inverter and the inverter and the transformer down below will stay on, and they use about 75 watts. So if I left them on overnight, just imagine 75 watts times 12 hours, you know, somewhere around 900 watts, I guess, give or take. I'm wasting that. So I basically connected this eMilo here, which is nothing more than a 12 volt remote controlled switch. So I can shut this all off. So in other words, I can shut this off, and then remote control, I can shut that off, which in turn shuts this off. So I have that inverter running into a 120 240 volt transformer down here at the 5,000 watt transformer. The reason I did that is because originally, if you can't see it, but below the batteries here is another inverter that I have, and that inverter will do 120 240 out of the box, but it is very noisy when the fan comes on. So I did not really want to have that running. The neighbors could actually hear, that's how loud that fan is. So I basically, I'm using this inverter, which is much more quieter when the fan turns on, but then I have to convert the 120 to 240. Now, over on this side, so basically I have that all wired up, and then I have that coming into, I bought this plastic protective box here, which is inside here is where my transfer switch is. So I'm only using the 2 middle ones. These ones aren't even connected. You can just see all the wires over here. But I'm only using these 2 middle ones. So in the up position, it's running off batteries, and in the on position, it's running off household electric. So I only really need to use the household electric when I have a few cloudy days. And this here is the breaker for the household electric. I should also point out that these batteries, so let's just say the nominal 48 volt battery times 105 amp hours, that gives me around 5,000 watts. And in a previous video I did a test on how many watt hours this thing uses overnight, and it uses about 4,600. So in theory, I could run this for 24 hours. It would then pretty much drain these batteries, which then would start charging again. Now, it really depends on the kind of day I have. If it's a sunny day, these batteries will charge up probably, give or take, 6-7 hours. I can probably get a full charge if it was full sunlight. So if I start charging somewhere around 8-9 o'clock in the morning, usually by 2-3 o'clock when it starts getting warm, they'll be ready. But what I usually do is I will run this, usually turn it on around 2 p.m. and then I'll turn it off when I go to bed, which is probably somewhere around 10 o'clock at night. I'll shut this particular one off, and then that usually draws the battery down to around 50%, and then it's much easier to charge up the next morning. So I could either get another battery, which would give me 10,000 watt hours, and that would probably put me in a more comfortable position, if I have a cloudy day or whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys how you can power one of these mini splits, which, the max use I seen with this was about 1,000 watts an hour. Once it cools down in the area that it's cooling, it'll drop down to 150 watts. And then it varies between there. It could be 150 watts, it could run 240 watts. It really cycles up and down depending on the temperature of the room. So I wanted a way to really power this unit and still have my mains power available, but also have a backup solution if I wanted to basically power it for free off of solar and batteries. So just so you know, there are some newer models out there, not of that particular manufacturer, but they make models now that you could actually plug solar panels directly into the mini split, and it'll actually take what it can from the solar, and then it'll combine that with what it needs from the household main as well. It's really slick. I was actually contemplating on going with that solution when I got this. Probably should have, looking back, but I actually like this kind of a solution here because I can store that power from the sun into that battery and then really use it, whenever I want to use it, not only when the sun's out.